Alrighty, hi guys. So last time is a few weeks ago now. We went over the initial looks on preseason. So what this basically meant was who do we like at large prices and who do we like overall to win the cup. From now until I would say probably the start of March, so it's currently about the 10th of Feb. I don't think these looks are going to change unless there's any serious injuries. Now, this isn't to say that like anyone outside of who we're going to talk about can go on to win. Like this is just who we like at the current price. As some of these are pretty obvious, but some of them are more in regards to how the divisional playoffs work, which I'll discuss now actually. So this year, unlike others, obviously the divisions are completely changed. You have basically Canada, and then everybody's split by close-ish teams. The thing with the Canada League is obviously first there's only 7 teams compared to everyone else has 8. In my opinion, this isn't going to matter. So those top 4, actually no, I think Calgary get in instead of Winnipeg, but those top 4 I think are how the playoffs look. They might change formats. Toronto are obviously the far better team than everyone else in this division. So Toronto probably come out of there, but my point with this division is more about whoever comes out, I don't think wins the Stanley Cup. So I don't mind Toronto, they're a decent team, but I don't think they have what it takes. They don't really match up well against Boston, obviously, ever. And of anyone else, are you taking them over Tampa? Are you taking them over Boston? Are you taking them over Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado? Probably not. So they're going to be dogs in 2 series in a row, and I just don't like that, even though the price is pretty decent at 8-1. I would rather take 7s here. And remember, always double check these. I just use Bet365 for the UX. It's a lot smoother, but obviously check BetOnline and everybody else as well. So who we're going to talk about at the moment, we're going to start with just bullish teams and bearish teams. So I'm going to start with the bearish ones actually. So there's a few teams in this middle section that I don't really like. So St. Louis Blues, Flyers, Jets, Stars, these are all sells in my opinion. Okay, so we did manage to get a good price on Blue Jackets and Panthers in the first video. I think we got 40 and 50 to 1. And I think they can both actually qualify for the playoffs. So our goal is essentially going to be to have the winner coming out of the Central and have probably most of our money on that. So if it's Lightning, obviously we're going to be getting 7 to 1-ish. Hopefully a little bit better if they can lose a couple of games. And then if we also have Columbus and Florida, we have 3 or 4 chances to have someone in what is essentially the semifinals, an average of 15 to 1, which is pretty good. If it's Tampa, they're probably going to be favorites in both sides as well. They've just looked almost too good initially, which I didn't want to see. I wanted them to look a little slow out the gate so we could get maybe 8.5, 9 to 1 on them instead of 7, which is the best price around at the moment. But it is what it is. In terms of bearish teams, this isn't to say they can't win. Obviously, Jets at 25 to 1, Stars at 25 to 1. I just think those aren't good bets. Blues at 18, they're coming up a bit. Not sure why. But this is just a pass for me from the entire season. If St. Louis Blues go on to win, we will have precisely $0 on them. There's a few middle ones that are worth checking out. I don't like Canadians at 9.50. I would much rather take Flames at 28 to 1 or Oilers at 22 to 1 because looking at the league, again, pretty simple. If you're saying Toronto comes first, this second place is wide open. And Calgary, although they haven't been great up front, you're kind of talking about a pretty weak division. With a bit of looking through strength of scheduling, you can time one of these. I wouldn't take Winnipeg personally, but you can time one of these 3 teams, get a good 25, 22 to 1, and then they should come, say, in the 3rd seed, play Montreal, Winnipeg, Calgary in the 2 seed, and then you're in the conference or divisional final against Toronto at maybe like a plus 200 dog, and you have 25 to 1 for it all. It's a pretty good bet. But I'll get talking about that later because assuming Toronto do kind of run away with the division, everybody else's prices shouldn't switch too much. You shouldn't have a team at, say, I know they've played 12 games, but you shouldn't have a team 3 points behind and only 2 points behind, 3 points behind everyone else, or ahead of everyone else, but yet be less than half the odds of other teams. That makes no sense in my opinion. So I don't think there's much value there. In terms of bullish teams, there's pretty much the top of the market, which is a bit disappointing. We have Lightning at plus 700 in most places, Vegas plus 700, which we're already on, which is nice, at a better price, and Avs plus 800. Then it's Hurricanes, and we're completely leaving this division. And the reason is pretty simple. Any of these teams, apart from maybe the bottom three, could realistically win this division, and they should all be priced roughly the same, which I think they are. So you have Boston at 9s, 15, 20, 25 is potentially worth a look for the Penguins at the moment. It's a good spot for them. And then Islanders 40 is a crazy price. But I just don't want to mess with anyone from this division, especially this early. This is more of a later play where we get maybe 20 to 1, 15 to 1 on someone, and we just kind of have one person here. It's not a full unit bet, it's a half unit bet. We're hoping they get through from this division, but we're not actually that worried. My look for the moment would be the Islanders, because A, they match up really well against Washington in the playoffs. B, they can take down Bruins and Philly if they need to. I would probably say Flyers are a little bit of a fade at the moment. But again, nothing is real here. This Honda West is actually surprisingly simple. I'm fading St. Louis. Everyone else is a step below. Colorado and Vegas are buys. You just got to have to time it right. We got Vegas preseason, so the fact they're first doing well is good. Colorado obviously are going to turn it on as well. So if they finish 1-2, that means St. Louis has to go through both of them to get through to just what is essentially the semi-final, and then play. I'm not sure how the seedings work from there. It's to do with regular season wins. So, for example, if Winnipeg came through from the Scotia North and you had, let's say, Vegas with first in the entire league, it would likely be Vegas versus Winnipeg. So that matchup is going to be pretty important, because you don't really want to play Tampa or Vegas in the division. It's not conference anymore, so it's a bit confusing. But if you had the most wins or the most points in the league, you would then play the least based on who comes through from any other division. So let's just say it's Vegas, Boston, Tampa, and Toronto. Say Toronto had the most points, which is the only way I could see you taking them as a buy spot. You can say Toronto get through their division, and then maybe you get a funky result here, even though I can't really see it. But say you had Arizona come out of here, you would have Toronto, Arizona, which is obviously a pretty good matchup. But I still think it's going to be pretty chalky, especially in this division. If Avs or Vegas didn't come out of the Honda West, I'd be extremely surprised. I know some people are giving the Blues love. I just don't see it yet. So in terms of who we're buying, it's more of a picture of when now. So there's only, I would say, 5 teams that will be betting on at any time. I'm going to leave Carolina out. I do think they're live in this division, but because we already have Columbus and Florida, and we will be buying on Tampa Bay like a freaking stock with dollar averaging, it's not going to be worth that to have 4 teams in the same division. It's just kind of stupid. So the only bets basically that we're going to have, or only Stanley Cup bets, over the next, I want to say until the playoffs start, is Lightning, Blue Jackets, which we already have, Panthers, which we already have, Vegas, and Avs. That's going to be it. So 5 teams, obviously 3 of them are super juiced, so I wouldn't recommend taking them yet. Avs at plus 800 might be the current look, but this is kind of like the picture of the season, what it looks like. If you want to take anyone else, the only people I would look into, I think this is still a bit short. No, it's too late for that. Pass. No, they don't match up that well. Potentially either Oilers or Flames, and then potentially either Penguins or Islanders. This Islanders 40 to 1 is a bit excessive. like that's probably worth a look, especially in a shortened season as well. Teams that are more well coached tend to do well, which is partly the reason why we took Blue Jackets and Panthers in the first place. Okay, so that kind of rounds that off. Any questions you have about this, let me know. And these are essentially the 5 teams that we are saying will win. So we're very heavy on 2 divisions, Central and Honda West. We may be taking Islanders. We'll get this up to 20 games and we'll see where they lie. It would have been nice to have Tampa at maybe 10-10, but at 9-1, that's not going to happen. So we'll be buying them from about 7-1 onwards, Avs from about 8-1 onwards, and setting it up like that. Okay, thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know.